Values are normally distributed with a mean of 242 and a standard deviation of 37. First question, what proportion of values are greater than 200? Round to 4 decimal places. We're asking for the proportion, probability, percent, all using a table and all needing a z-score. So remember, your z-score is your data value minus the mean divided by the standard deviation. So our data value is 200 minus our mean of 242 divided by our standard deviation of 37. So when I work with my numerator first, I get negative 42 over 37, which comes up to be negative 1.14. Now that's not in your table, so I'm going to go ahead and just round that to negative 1.1. So when I'm looking at my normal distribution, a z-score of 0 is the mean, so negative 1.1 is going to be to the left. And we're asking for values that are greater. Greater means to the right. Well, when you look at your table is going to give you area to the left. So, and this does say round to 4 decimal places, so area to the left is 0.1357. Well, I don't want area to the left, I want area to the right. So I'm going to take all of the area, which is 1, minus 0.1357. And so the proportion of values that are greater is 0.8643. Part A, complete. Now, part B says, enter the value which best approximates the lowest 26% of the distribution. Round to the nearest tenth. Now, what this means is that if we're looking at this lowest 26%, means if I do this, the lowest 26%, 0.26 is going to be the area under the curve to the left. So when you look at your table, you're looking at the proportion, the probability, the percent, right? The P in the table. What z-score corresponds to an area of 0.26? Well, 0.26 is not in our table, but 0.2578 is in the table, and that's the closest that we have, so we're going to approximate. So if we find the area, or the proportion of being 0.2578, that's going to lead us to a z-score of negative 0.65. So if I have a z-score, I know my mean is 242, and I know my standard deviation is 37. That's from the previous page. So I can plug these into our z-score formula. Negative 0.65 equals our data value minus the mean over the standard deviation. And now we are solving an equation. So the first thing that we're going to do to both sides is we are going to multiply by 37, both sides. Because when I multiply this side by 37, 37 divided by 37 is 1. Those pieces cancel out, which is exactly what we want. So I am left with x minus 242, and when I multiply 37 times a negative 0.65, I get negative 24.05. Now the last step, we're trying to get x by itself, so I'm going to add 242 to both sides. Because when I add 242, negative 242 plus 242 is 0, and I just have x plus 0, which is x. And on the left, when I add these together, I get 217.95. Now, our directions do say round to the nearest tenth. So if I take, let me change colors here. If I take 217.95 and I round to the nearest tenth, 5 rounds up to, so I end up with 218.0 rounded to the nearest tenth. So it's all about solving the equation and doing the opposite of what you see, right? We had division here, so we multiplied. Dividing and multiplication are opposites. And then down here we had a minus 242, so we added, because subtracting and adding are opposites. Now let's do another one of those in part C. Enter the value which best approximates the highest 4% of the distribution. Okay, think about this. If you're talking about the highest 4%, that's a 0.04 there. Your table doesn't give you area to the right. It gives you area to the left. So if you have 4% to the right, the 0.04, that means 0.96 or 96% is to the left. So you're trying to find 0.96 in the table. Well, we have a 0.9641 in the table, which we'll go with that. That leads me to a z-score of 1.8. And you can kind of see, based off this picture, my z-score should be positive because my vertical line is to the left of the center, which is the mean, and the mean has a z-score of 0, right? Thinking through that. So, again, z-score equals value minus the mean over the standard deviation. So, the equal sign cuts this in half. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So I'm going to start by multiplying both sides by 37, because just like we did last time, dividing by 37, multiply by 37, they're going to cancel out and leave us with 1. And 1 times x minus 242 is just x minus 242. So 37 times 1.8 is 66.6. Okay, and now we have x minus 242. The opposite of minus is plus. So I'm going to add 242 to both sides. Negative 242 plus 242 comes out to be just 0. And so x equals 308.6. And it says round to the nearest tenth, and I'm already at the nearest tenth. So voila, there's my answer.